Welcome to Melanated and Spiritually Woke. I'm your host, Adorable Earth Angel. I'm a holistic wellness educator of 12 years with a master's in public health, energy healing of 7 years, and have been a Black female spiritual alchemist my whole life. Each week, we'll be sharing uplifting, spiritually focused wellness practices to best support you in regaining your personal power, or we'll have special guest interviews with the same intention. This show is in service to all those listening, and especially for folks of color who are seeking information to support their physical, mental, and emotional spiritual awakening. These practices will help you live your best life. Hello there. Thank you for joining me back here again at Melanated and Spiritually Woke. The show comes on now every Wednesday and Saturday night. And today we're doing the Wednesday show. And a huge part of what Melanated and Spiritually Woke brings is understanding a spiritual perspective on a human experience. And right now we're living in times where there's a lot of human experiences that can vary and range. Today we're going to be talking about this dynamic summer that we've been having. A lot of energies that have been surfacing for us. A huge way that I like to understand and the energies of what is happening is through the context of astrology as a tool that connects us to source. And so it's a source-based technology, but that astrology's been around for so many years and actually dates back to ancient Egypt. Many people don't know that. They think it's the Greeks, but actually a lot of astrological techniques that we use today is based out of Egypt, which is very related to the lineage of a lot of listeners, just the folks who are of the African diaspora. And so just wanting to do a little bit more housekeeping. So we have the show happening on Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesdays at 4, Saturdays at 9 p.m. And we're going to be trying something where we actually have 2 shows per week. So we're bumping it up. And we're going to let Wednesday's show be kind of like the weekly energies, the current energies of what's happening right now. So I'll be addressing right now. And then Saturday night will be a more nuanced, specific topic that I'll be tackling. And so we're going to be having 2 shows, which is really exciting to be already going into 2 shows. And we're also going to be having way more guests come on. Like I'm getting my ducks in a row to bring more amazing people to talk about their healing modalities and how they've been able to use these modalities to support people. So we're going to be having a lot of brand new things happening on this brand new show. This show is like 2 months old. And so today I'm going to be talking about the expansion energy that we've been finding in the summer, as well as the I feel stuck energy, which is very, very clearly kind of a theme as well. Like there's the feeling, and there are 2 different ends of the stick, right? Like I feel expansive, things are expanding versus things are contracting and I feel like I'm not going anywhere. And that those, whether you've been feeling either of those or have been feeling something in between that or none of that at all, that's kind of the greater context of energy that this summer's been invoking as it relates to some big transits that have been happening. Right now, recently, we just had Jupiter go direct, and Jupiter is the biggest planet we have in our solar system. And the energetics of Jupiter are really around expansion, around adventure, around new horizons, travel, long distance travel. Those are the themes that Jupiter brings in. And so when Jupiter was direct, it was about all of those themes, but within, traveling within, expansion from within. Everything was inward and not really visibilized. And so now that we have Jupiter going direct, that's going to, in relationship with you specifically, it's going to depend on where Jupiter is in your chart, what house placement that is. So you'd have to look that up. But as far as like the collective energy, Jupiter right now is moving through Sagittarius. And that's its home sign. If you're a Sagittarius, Jupiter, that is your that's your home planet. And so Jupiter is in Sagittarius, and that happens about every 12 years that Jupiter returns to its home sign. So it takes 12 years for it to go through all of the zodiac pretty much. And so it's about every year it changes. And something to note about that is that the expansion that we've been feeling, possibly for some of us, has been interesting because in one way there's an expansion of consciousness, there's an expansion of possibility, but there also is this feeling of maybe feeling out of arm's reach. Like it's kind of more so like knowing about opportunities, knowing about the possibilities, but not quite feeling like you can grasp onto the fullness of that in its entirety. Because there's the opposite end of that that's being activated for multiple reasons. One, Jupiter is the energy of expanding, and in Sagittarius is the energy of what happens within our higher mindset, like our beliefs. Sagittarius represents our beliefs. Sagittarius is the energy of higher education. It's the energy of becoming a specialist. And, it's these two are very, very similar, by the way, because Jupiter and Sagittarius are so strongly linked. But when you have this combination of these planets, the other thing that it brings up on a collective level is the negative aspects of this placement. So there's a lot of positivity, which is that there's a lot of expansion, but also within the connection, there's also the expansion of oppression. Why would that happen? Because what's happening is it's an expansion of everything. It's an expansion of everything that is being hidden. Sagittarius is the energy of truth. And so there's an expansion of the truth. And the truth is that there's oppression. The oppression's there. And so even though there's this feeling like, oh my gosh, look at all these opportunities, there's also like, oh, look at all these opportunities that I'm having a hard time getting into my life. And that can be frustrating, and that can put us in a place where we start to feel like life's not working out. And for a lot of us out there who've been feeling that, they've just been feeling like a client the other day said, just feeling like they're just drudging through muck, at their workspace, in their personal life. And it's, it could be any part of your life. You feel like there's a drudgy energy and it's not just clear and big and expansive. And so what's being asked of is to recognize that your feelings in this situation are completely valid. The show is never in any way supposed to be like, well, because this is happening, you should not be feeling sad about this transit. Like, let yourself be with the mucky muck, because that is what this is all about this summer, is allowing yourself to be in the mucky muck, feeling the energy of possibility. And then the huge part of what we're able to do in these times is actually heal these oppressions, whether it's any of the isms that are surfacing right now. There being a limitation based on an ism, and not so much being like, well, see, this is why, and that's that. Because that's victimhood. And that can be so easy in the past to have gone down that path, right? In the past, it's like, oh, in the past, that is my jam. But now it's like with the visibility of recognizing that there's an expanded version of you that can have any and everything that you want. There's a version of you that has all the things that you've been asking for. And there's also a visibility of what potentially could be the opposition to those things. Now, this is where spirituality really has its strong point. And that when we work with the energies of this moment, a huge part of what we're always wanting to do is recognize that we came to this planet to heal it. Especially for coming in as melanated people, that's not an easy entry point. I know myself, like, it wasn't easy in my childhood being a Black girl growing up in the height epidemic of crack and surviving it, and being here now and still trying to navigate what that really means for how I can show up for everyone. And so in these times, specifically as we look at the energies of this week, we just had this again, we just had Jupiter go in direct in its sign. And so for you in some area of your life, I just invite you to just take a moment and reflect. If you really reflect, there is something that has been expanding in your consciousness. You're like, and it's been expanding because there's been a part of you that's wanted to have a change. Change is the energy of this summer. Big change where you are the energy that could be irreversible, meaning that you are going somewhere and you're not looking back. You're not looking back. You're letting yourself have the ability to change forever and to let yourself spin in that new direction. And a huge part of what creates the remarkable change that's coming through, I see like what I'm seeing is like just this wheel of change and all of these different pieces, you being integrated within your beingness, meaning like you are integrated in how much you love yourself. You're integrated in how much you are loving your physical self, your mental self, your emotional self, your spiritual self, your masculine self, your feminine self. As men and women, we have both. We are both masculine and feminine, and like integrating those parts of you evenly. And so within that alignment, there's an opportunity for bigger change. Now you can let life change you, or you can change your life. Like there's options here. And so the energies that also have been creating the stuck energies that we've had so many planets retrograde. We've had like 6 planets retrograde. We still do right now. We had Mercury go direct, but then we had Uranus go retrograde. And then we have Saturn's retrograde. We have Pluto's retrograde. So we have quite, what else is retrograde? Chiron's retrograde. So we have quite a bit of retrogrades right now. What that all means is when planets go backwards, it means from the perspective of the Earth, they're going backwards, but it just means that we're a retrograded planet. Planets never actually go backwards. They just go backwards as it relates to us spinning faster than them. Kind of like when you're like everyone says, like when you're driving in a car and all of a sudden, you and a car are driving at the same pace and they don't, you drive forward and they maybe brake. That's kind of what a retrograde looks like. It's like just it seems like they're going backwards because they're moving slower. And I explain that because that may be what you might be feeling. Is like things actually, even though it's the summer and it's like, okay, let's get that summer going. And maybe there's been some events, maybe there's been some fun things, but you were kind of like, where's that oomph? Where's that like summer oomph? Where I'm just feeling like things are just flowing. And some people got sick. Like they had their physical bodies had to just sit down. Some people like experienced that they thought they were going to do XYZ with work. And that got delayed. Some people were like hoping to be with their sweetheart. That got delayed. So there's a lot of delays and people are like, what's up with all these delays? And a huge part of it is that there's some reworking. There's integration. There's reconnecting. That's all. Whenever we go into retrograde energies, it's all about rethinking, reconnecting, and possibly renouncing, right? It's like, this isn't me anymore. I'm good. This isn't who I am. I renounce this. And it's also a great opportunity for downloading, getting some really big downloads, letting spirit flow through you, give you an upgrade, give you a boost so that you can go into a brand new chapter, fully knowing what's going on. Because in these times, we need people we need to be in the place where we know what's going on, not from the external perspective, meaning that I'm not on Instagram figuring out what's going on. I'm not looking at spiritual memes all day, which we can do. I'm not looking outside of myself to understand what's going on. I'm not using someone else's life on Facebook as a metric for what I need to be doing. And so a huge part of that, if you've been feeling the stucky muckiness, it's like, there's parts of you that are wanting to go in the same direction as your visions and dreams and goals. There is. But it's you tapping into that part of you that's not. What part of you is not completely aligning with your prayer? You know you have a prayer. And the fact that you have a prayer means that you can have your prayer. I say this all the time on this show. If you didn't want to have this new job, this new partner, or a improved relationship with your current partner, improved relationship with your children, improved relationship with your friend group, new friends, new adventures, getting on a plane, owning a plane, flying a plane, whatever it is, like if you didn't want those things, like here's the thing, like you can't have something in this lifetime that you can't have. I was just telling my client yesterday, I was like, I don't want a jet. And we laughed at it and I was like, yeah, because I don't want a jet. Like, but if I wanted a jet, I could get one, because there's like in your consciousness, what you want literally is something that's specific to who you are and what you want in this lifetime. And there's plenty of things that I've wanted that have come to pass, and that were for me to want. And a huge part of when we manifest this new thing in our lives, the very first thing that the thing is first a thought. And the thing that can trip us up is that once we have the manifestation of the thought that we want, we feel stuck because it's not right in front of us right in that moment. And a huge part of it is recognizing that the thing that you want comes to you when you become the thing that you want. I'm going to repeat that. Whatever you want comes to you when you become it. And so that is a practice of allowing yourself to rise to the frequency of what you want. And when we have retrogrades, it's like giving us the ability to really refine and do the work. Do the work on creating the truth of what we really want. Do the healing work. Clear out the closet. You know, if we didn't have a retrograde planet, we'd never do spring cleaning. We'd never delete old emails. We'd never clean out the garage. So this is kind of like you being able to do those physical things, right? Like clean up your house, get everything together, get everything ready. Because when all the planets go direct, I mean, how many of you out there have ever been like, wow, I have no time to just get my ducks in a row? This is the perfect duck in a row energy. And so there feels like a pull and push though. There's so much energy this summer that was kind of pulling you towards expansion, but it felt like the rudders weren't working on your boat, right? Or you felt like the motor was going, but there was an anchor in the water that was really down there. And the anchor was like, you need to go down into there and like see what's going on and lift that anchor up, you know? And so today's so important, you know, this week is so important. It's a transformational week. And like what I'm hearing and what's downloading is like, there is so much on offer for you to change your life right now, allowing yourself to live moment to moment, allowing yourself to be okay with what is. Because in that level of surrender and the ability to surrender to what is, there's an opportunity to let in your blessings in a way that are very natural and easy and fun. And it's a process. And everyone out there is at a different place on their spiritual journey. And everyone out there is going to hear my message in a completely different way. Everyone's going to receive whatever is being said today in a very different way. And that's all a part of it as well. But you're listening. You're here for a reason. You've been attracted to this show, this message. So this is for you. This is for you. Like if you're listening to this message is for you. It's for you to heal. It's for you to feel connected to that energy. And it's a journey. And I'm right here alongside you. I'm right here with you, recognizing this importance of us coming up together. And that's the real work. All of the real work that actually helps to move our lives is very internal. Because when you think of it this way, when you think of life as an internal adventure, you're recognizing that who you are on the outside is really reflective of who you are on the inside. The type of house, the type of love life, the type of connections, and the quality that you want to create. And so doing that inner healing work, doing that inner self-love work, then amplifies the outer experience dramatically. And that's the mucky stucky energy. We had these eclipses happen recently, Cancer, and we had them in Capricorn, and I talked about this. It was really about us recognizing what we needed to feel nourished versus what we needed for our outside reputation and our career and the validation from the external. And that's gone, baby. That's gone. External validation is over. And we've been so conditioned, right? We've been so conditioned for that to be our truth. And it's not what's happening. Because it really blocks us from really being in our hearts. It blocks us from being in our hearts. It's very masculine, but not positive masculinity. And what we need is a lot more heart right now. We need to turn to people that we love and say that we love them. We need to recognize opportunities where we can have more heart-based opportunities. We need to find work that we love, not work that just freaking drains us and steals our labor, like modern day slavery, right? We need work that enlivens us and brings us into hope and possibility and joy. And that work is there for you. If you've been, specifically, there's been a shift for people in how they spend their time at work. That's been a real big theme for people, specifically because of the eclipse. It's the domestic home energy versus work. And so the sludginess is also like Saturn and that Capricorn energy coming in and saying, is this really what you love? Is this really what you care about? I'm just here to ask. Do you really care about this? And so I could go on for a while around this. But the message I have for us this week, for you this week, is this message of change. That this summer has the potential to change. I say the potential because when I was talking earlier about Jupiter and expansive energy, and maybe you seeing opportunities, but you also seeing opposition, in this moment, you can choose to focus on opposition or opportunity. And whatever you place your consciousness on, that is the very thing that comes into your lived experience. And I'm not saying that it can be a very easy thing. It takes actually spiritual practices to be able to focus on opportunity. It does. And it's like you're having to retrain your neural pathway. And I want to share with you today something that I do religiously, consistently, is create opportunities for more light to come into my mind. And I do that in a way by, in a couple of ways, like I'm able to let light come into my mind by first aligning myself in the morning time. I set a prayer, an intention that my angels are going to be with me and that they're going to bring opportunities for me to connect with my inner light. And then what happens is in the morning, I'll go for a jog or I'll do something active. I'll do yoga. And if thoughts come up, any thoughts actually, even if they seem innocent, what I do is I take those thoughts, I ask light to come in from above and below. I swish the thoughts around in a ball of light. I spin the light and then I hyperspeed. I ask the light to go really fast, to spin really fast. And then I release. And so what I do, this is called the blessing ball. This is a spiritual practice that I've taught for years. I teach at festivals. I teach at community events. I do it with one-on-ones. And it's called the blessing ball. And it is a spiritual tool that you can literally use right now. And in fact, let's take the time to do that. So whatever you're doing, if I could just have 1 minute of your full undivided attention, if you could just take your palms, rub your palms together, and you're just going to flick them just to clear out your hand chakras. And then you're just going to hold your hands like you have I don't know what type of ball, like maybe a volleyball, maybe a little bit bigger than a volleyball. So just holding your hands out, you close your eyes, and I just invite you to place in that ball of light any negative thoughts, any thoughts at all in your mind. And you're going to ask light from above and below to come into the ball of light. You're going to ask the ball of light to spin in the direction of the greatest benefit for yourself and all beings everywhere. Hyperspeed. Maintain permanently. And release. You just put your hands down. Boom. Now I have a million different variations of this technique. That was the extended version where I did everything. You could literally go ball of light, light above, light below, hyperspeed, release. And that takes like literally that took like less than 10 seconds to say. But what I love about this practice is that every time a thought happens and you use the blessing ball and you clear the thought, more thoughts will come. But at a certain point, they stop actually a little bit. Because what you're doing is you're doing the healing work to clear your mind of all of the programmed negativity. And on Saturday night's show, if this works out the way I think it's going to work out, or this is Wednesday and Saturday, I'm actually going to go deeper into that. I'm going to go deeper into abundance and prosperity as it relates to the mind. This practice for today is a practice that I'm going to bring up often on this show because this is the practice that has changed. One of the many practices that has changed my life, to be honest, is when I found out about how to do this. And when you first do it, you may not feel energy in your palms. Some of you are sensitive. You felt the energy when we did that just now. But over time, you will feel energy in your palms. You will feel the energy. You'll feel the ball of light spinning. And this particular technique is actually called light work. That is like the form of what this is, light work. And light work is the idea that I can think about myself as energy. I can think about myself as light, and I can remove impurities from myself through light work. And so the energy is all light. It's all God. And it's basically harnessing that light. It's a prayer. It's an active prayer. That is what light work is for me. It's actively doing prayer work. And it just connects me to my ancestors and that technology, that ancient technology that's on offer for me. And I hope you enjoy it. And I invite you to cast blessing balls. Now, other things you can do with these blessing balls, you can cast blessing balls around your home. You can make them that big. You can put a blessing ball into your office, like before you walk into work today, or tomorrow, I should say, before you walk into work at any time, or whenever you're listening to this, could be any time. Before you walk in, before you go into a meeting, before you go into any situation, you can put that person's name in the blessing ball, and you just say, may this blessing spin in the direction of the greatest benefit for me and that person's name, for me and all beings everywhere. Because what we're doing is we're sending light. We're sending light to the situation. We're trying to have the most utmost, highest vibration meeting that we can have that's available to us in that moment. Right? We're trying to have the most high quality experience. And what we're doing is every time you cast a blessing ball that's connected to the opportunity, getting back to the energy of expansion, you're creating a pathway for that being your lived experience, for that being the reality in which you are operating from. That doesn't mean that overnight, any contrast you've been experiencing, any challenging experiences, people, places, things, situations are just going to disappear overnight. But what it does mean is that you're being proactive in claiming your light, and there's a proactiveness in being able to say, this is my flow. I'm creating a new flow. I'm creating a flow of abundance. I'm creating a flow of opportunity. And I'm choosing to direct my energy where it's important to me. No matter what comes into my mind today, if it's a negative thought, I can just say, okay, take that thought, put it in a blessing ball, spin it around, goodbye, and you send it out. And you basically are clearing and healing those thoughts that come. Some of these thoughts aren't yours. That's a whole nother conversation. Sometimes we pick up on other people's thoughts. I want to talk about that in future episodes, like how we're definitely connected to other humans in so many different ways. And I want to talk about that in another episode. I just want to thank you for being a part of this show today. And I encourage you to listen to Saturday's show. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for bringing the fullness of your energy. And as we kind of close out, just reflecting on the truth of everything you heard. If you felt yes in your body when I was talking, then this message was true for you. If you didn't feel a yes, then that's okay. Take what you need and leave what you don't. I'm just here to just be a beacon of light and love. And I feel you. I'm sending you so much love and light. And I can't wait to see you next time on Melanated and Spiritually Woke. And until next time, may you be filled with love, light, positivity, and possibility. And hang out after this show, because actually all the music that you're going to listen to is music that I put together myself. So enjoy the mixes that I put together. It's inspired by the information that's coming up and of the show. I just put together a mix that goes with the energy of the show every week for you. I hope you enjoy this mix. Take care.